Hello, hey everybody. I am Joey Sparks. God's mercies are new again this morning.
This morning with my mind stayed on Jesus. I woke up this morning with my mind.
One of the healthy things I think that's been a good reminder over this COVID season, and obviously we're still kind of within it to a degree, but and like anything else, it can be abused and has been abused and has been a part of manipulation tactics and shame tactics and all that. But one of the good, I think, healthy things that we can learn from this COVID time has been that individual decisions have community consequences. Individual decisions have community consequences. That it's really impossible to make individual decisions and them not impact the larger group as a whole. And COVID reminded us of that, that if you are sick and you go into a big group of people, you very well could risk making them sick. Paul uses that same logic when it comes to sexual sin. And I want you to notice how he words this, how he sets this up. He's going to first talk about it being a decision that goes against God, that this is God's will for us to be pure. So when you are not, then you go against God, you sin against God. But then he's going to bring in this additional aspect, not to wrong your brother in this regard. And you think about this, sexual activity, sexual sin in our culture is so often joined with the word and the concept in the world's eyes of love, that if it's loving, then I should be able to do it. We should be able to love whoever we want to love is kind of the thinking that dominates our culture. But notice Paul says otherwise. God says otherwise. Sexual sin always violates the first commandment, to love God. And it also always violates the second commandment, to love our brother or our neighbor. Listen to what he says. This is verse 3 of 1 Thessalonians 4. This is the will of God, your sanctification, that you abstain from sexual immorality, that each one of you know how to control his own body in holiness and honor, not in the passion of lust like the Gentiles who do not know God. Now verse 6, that no one transgress and wrong his brother in this matter, because the Lord is an avenger in all these things. You hear that? It's not just about you and God. It will harm your relationship with God. It's going to leave you lost before God. But it is also against your brother. Pause and think about that for a moment. That whenever we commit sexual sin, it's never just us. For those who are married, it's against the present spouse. It's against the spouse of the person perhaps that's being committed with. There are multiple people that get caught up in that when it is an adulterous affair. But even if a situation where it's, say, two single people, you can't love each other if you're enabling and participating in sin with each other. You think about those who would fall prey to lust and, say, the pornography industry that is so prevalent now with the internet. You can't participate in that alone. Even though you may be doing so privately, you can't do that alone. You're still sinning against so many other people that are across the screen, people that are in your life. You're still sinning against them. So Paul reminds us, God reminds us through Paul, you must remember your individual decisions impact other people. They impact the community. Before we close this morning, I want you to remember verse 5, though, because this is the key to unlocking so much of the difficulties with this issue, this sin especially. Notice how he contrasts this. You, as a Christian, you need to be able to exercise the will of God, which is sanctification, purity. And you're going to be different than the Gentiles. Listen to how he words that, verse 5. Not in the passion of the lust like the Gentiles who do not know God. We find ourselves habitually struggling with the sin. We find ourselves habitually struggling with a temptation. Let's zero in on what verse 5 means. We need to know God more. How can I know God more? Don't just focus on the sin directly. Start by knowing God more and then branch out so that knowledge of God, His love, His compassion, His strength, how does that then better equip me, better equip us to handle and overcome these temptations and these sins? Hey, we're thankful for you. We thank you for watching this morning. It's our prayer that God's timeless word will be on your mind all day today.
I woke up this morning.